Hello, 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 hello. Oh my goodness, it's been a while. Seriously, it's been a while. And I couldn't, my goodness, how long has it been? I think it's been 4 weeks. And I can explain. Don't get mad at me now. Uh, I wasn't feeling very well, and my voice wasn't exactly up to par. So I was like, I needed to take a break to just take care of myself and make sure I'm okay. Um, as you can tell from my voice, I'm excited. I'm all right. And those of you who have been following all kinds of stuff that I've been doing online, um, I have a lot of posts on Instagram um, because I started a group coaching called Divine Life Purpose on Instagram. You would find it on the way to get to my hashtag or the link is divine underscore life purpose. You will find it. I have a Calendly attached to it, so if you want to book a session or a group session, you can always make an appointment there because you can see my calendar and make an appointment, and then I'll be able to schedule a call with you. My goodness, there's a lot going on behind the scene, even though I wasn't feeling well, and taking a break to recuperate my voice, of course, and get my mind straight because there was a lot of stuff going on in my life that I needed to attend to. But I'm back. That's the best part. And then guess what? I found the music. That's what I played, the introduction. I like this music so much because that was the music I started doing the podcast with back in 2020. So, needless to say, I am excited to find my song or the music that I use as an intro. I found it and it's exciting. Oh my gosh. I guess you can tell I'm very excited, so I'm very, very bubbly today. Yay! What else? First of all, let me introduce myself. I always forget to do this. Knucklehead. That's me. My name is Sroda Aglago. Thank you for joining me on Love, Forgive, Live podcast. I am excited today to discuss today's topic. Today's topic is actually a little different because I normally don't tackle topics like this or subjects like this. It's on the topic of narcissism. And this has been so much bombarded by it. A lot of friends and clients calling me. I had a client who even called me and said, hey, do you think I'm a narcissist? Do I need to come to sessions? And I said, here's a newsflash for you. The mere fact that you're picking up the phone and calling me and asking me if I think you're a narcissist already proves that you're not. And I will talk about it, and then we will get more deeper into the topic and how you can begin to look into the symptoms and signs of narcissism and what caused it. Why is this becoming such a dominant thing in the social media, and it's all over? Like, things are showing up in my inboxes, things are showing up in my DMs, things are showing up in my For You page, on my TikTok, which is still called Love, Forgive, Live. And it's bizarre. It's mind-blowing how much this is confronting me from left and right. So today we are going to dig into that. A disclaimer. I am a therapist, a counselor, and a life coach. And of course, I do skills coaching. And also, I do spirituality coaching. However, I am not a researcher in narcissism, because there are several personality traits that carry part of this behavior. That's what I'll call it. And so I didn't do a longitudinal research on this topic, or did I ever do a 2 or a 3 year research on this topic. This is based on my research on Actually, the most important research you should probably read, I think, aside from the psych textbooks, go and read the Mayo Clinic information on narcissism, and your mind will be blown. So I think we need to educate ourselves with this, because we are constantly bombarded by these individuals from every aspect of our lives, both in our relationships, our work relationship, our neighborhood, the grocery store, everywhere. And I think it's best to be well versed in this to understand what you're dealing with, the symptoms. So when you run into an individual who is presenting some of these symptoms, you're not going to take it personal, because you'll be able to recognize what is going on and walk away and not engage. Disengage. Please do not engage. It's not worth it. It's a moot point. Now, one thing I'll go over is this. Brace yourself. I'm going to go over the definition, the actual definition. And this definition is by the Mayo Clinic. You can go online and read this. Okay? Go to the Mayo Clinic, MAO Clinic.org, and type in symptoms of narcissism or definition of narcissism. And it's spelled as NARCISSISM. Once again, it's spelled as NARCISSISM. Okay? Okay. Now we can go into the definition. Please hear me when I say this. I'm not making this up. You can read it up with yourself and find out what this means. Narcissistic Personality Disorder. One of several types of personality disorders. It's a mental condition in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, they have trouble with relationships and lack of empathy for others. That's the one that surprised me the most. Lack of empathy for others. Believe me, when I had relationships with some of these individuals, I remember it used to really bother me to recognize that they didn't have empathy for others. And it bothered me. It was so annoying to me. I couldn't understand it, and I would argue. Of course, hindsight is 2020. At the time, I didn't know any better. I didn't know. Now that I know and I have more information, I was like, oh, so that explains what was happening. I didn't even realize it. And it's okay. It's okay. We are learning progress, so there's nothing wrong with it. But here's what happened. There are other things you also know about the definition. Even though they have no empathy for others, however, behind this mask of not having empathy for others and the definition I read, behind this mask is extreme confidence. Okay? They claim they have extreme confidence, okay? Showing you to the world that they are the best at everything. They are perfection. I mean, complete perfection. And everything they do must be perfect. And it's perfect. And it's so perfect, everyone else's stuff they do pales in comparison to themselves. Yes, this is exactly how they present this inflated sense of self. So behind this mask of extreme confidence lies a fragile self-esteem that is always vulnerable at the slightest criticism. Are you hearing what I'm hearing? At the slightest form of criticism. Those of you who are listening that are encountering these individuals, please disengage from criticizing them. It's actually quite dangerous. Do not do it. Because if you do, they will turn on you in unimaginable ways. Do not do it unless you want a war that will never end with you and that individual. Now, this type of personality disorder is problematic. And it has a problem in so many aspects of your lives. Let me go through the list. For example, in their workplace, in their relationship, school, they handle finances poorly. Oh my gosh, their way of handling their finances is frightening. Extremely poorly. They have issues with that. Now, they're extremely hurt. They get extremely hurt and disappointed when others close to them don't give them special attention and praise them. And let them believe, because they believe they deserve that praise, whether it is true or not. But in their perception, you have to understand, you're dealing with the extreme perception of themselves. It doesn't matter what you think, and it doesn't matter whether you're seeing that they deserve it or not. To them, they do. And if you do not give that to them, good luck. It's a battle. And it's a battle I don't think you even want to deal with. Okay? No matter how good a relationship is, they will find the relationship unfulfilling. It's never good enough for them. And it's never fulfilling to them. There's always a sense of it's never enough. I don't care what you do. Let me explain this. Being in a relationship with individuals like this, you can be the most loyal, kind, gentle, sweet, loving, and considerate individual in an entire planet, and have all the money you want that you could give them. It is never going to be enough. Do you know why? Because it's a never-ending pit of darkness in their heart. And it's not because they choose to be. A lot of times we say, people make choices. It is what it is. It's a serious personality disorder. It's never going to be enough. They will never be fulfilled. And I'm going to go over some other things right here for you. There are several symptoms and signs of this personality trait. So I went over the definition. Now I'm going over the symptoms and signs so you can recognize it within yourself. There's a reason why you want to be able to recognize this within yourself. If you have this personality, please listen to the signs and symptoms and find out if you do. Write them down and check the mark and see how many of these signs. I believe I have 10 of them. There's more. However, I choose to only focus on these 10. Understand this. These are signs and symptoms. I am not saying you should diagnose yourself, and I'm not diagnosing you because I am not your clinician. I am not your therapist. I am not your psychiatrist. Hear that clearly. If you do, take this list. Go to a physician, a psychiatrist, go to a therapist, a clinician, and go through these symptoms and then discuss it with them. Am I this person? Find out. Go to the professional. Get the help. Because chances are, if you are, it's exhausting to be able to maintain all this, to keep this in track of all this. Your emotions are all over the place. So I'm going to go over the symptoms and the signs. Symptom number 1. These individuals with personality, this narcissistic personality disorder, they always monopolize a conversation and belittle others. And even look down on them or other people's perspective. And they see other people's perspective as inferior to theirs. Yes. This is actually true. They really believe that. Number 2. They always take advantage of other people to get what they want. That never fails. And you know what? They would justify it and say, but I wanted this, so that's I just got it. And you, the individuals who was at the receiving end of that, you look at them like, are they actually saying this to me, and are they actually believing this and communicating this to me? Yes, they actually believe this. They're not punking you. I remember when I became aware of this personality trait, and I experienced their behavior and what they say, and then to justify it and make things make sense to them, and regardless whether it makes sense to me or not, or anyone around, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really not happening. They're not really believing this, are they? And then I realized they are. They believe this. And it's not because they're pretending. They really, truly, in their core, believe this. There's no doubt. Number 3, they have an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. They can't. And if you take this into account, honestly, those of you who are listening and are victims of this personality disorder, individuals who have this, I hope this gives you an idea and a clarity so that you're not beating yourself and thinking it's something you did. That's just the way they are. It has nothing to do with you. And if you're beating yourself in the head, feeling like you're banging your head against the wall to change them, to have them understand the way you understand or see the way you see, or your feelings, please do yourself a favor. Stop. Otherwise you will be hurt, seriously hurt. And it is exhausting, extremely exhausting. Don't do it. Number 4, individuals with narcissistic personality disorder behave in an arrogant or haughty manner. They will usually come across as being extremely conceited, boastful, or I will call it braggadocious, and often pretentious. Is not a punk. They're not punky. They're actually doing this, and they believe this. And they don't see it, though. That's the other thing. They don't see it. They just are. They can't perceive themselves to look outside of themselves, to look and see, what did I just do? What did I just say? What is the meaning? That internal dialogue or interpretation or understanding does not happen. Number 5, they insist on having the best of everything. When I mean the best of everything, the best of everything. Perfection and best of everything is at excuse me, is at the top of their needs. Excuse me. Oh man, I thought my voice was back to normal, but that's a lot excuse me happening. I gotta drink something. And it's important. And we have to take this into account. That, excuse me, we are not going through this because we want to diss, or I don't want to diss someone. You can go ahead and look at this, research it, read it, and understand more about this. Number 6. These individuals are preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, beauty, perfection in a mate, and brilliance. It's very important to them. They don't stop. They will begin to try to mold their mate to fit that perfection for them. Whether it's attainable or not, it doesn't matter. That does not matter to them. Excuse me. That's something to take into account. Number 7. They have an exaggerated sense of self-importance. And it goes back to the whole thought that everybody's perspective is inferior. That goes along with number 7, from number 1 and 7, goes together as having an exaggerated sense of self-importance. Sounds familiar? Sounds like anyone you know? Write these down and go through it. If you're doing that to yourself, question it for a bit. And do the internal dialogue. And then seek the help you need. Number 8. They expect to be recognized as superior even without the achievements that warrants the superiority. Even though they have nothing to be looked at or deemed as superior than anyone, but they expect everyone to treat them as such. To recognize that they are superior to everybody. To them, they don't need the achievement to back it up. They just are. Because they just believe they are. There's nothing else. Number 9. They have a sense of entitlement and require constant, excessive admiration. Yes. It is so important to them. They'll stop at any length. Anywhere they go. They will have this feeling of entitlement. And have a constant, everyone must admire them. If they don't, it's going to be a price to pay. When I experienced an individual like this, in my young days, I remember what happened when I went to a gathering or a party. And I was young. I was in my 20s, and I dressed up, put on my makeup. I was, feeling myself, thinking I was it. Put my thing on, and then I was dressed in traditional clothing. I had, the traditional Ghanaian clothing. Put all my stuff on. And I walk in, and a little girl saw me. She said, "Oh, wow, you look pretty. You look like a princess. You look like an African princess. And I was like, oh, thank you. Then I turned and entered the room, and then people who knew me was like, wow, oh, you look good. Oh, look at you. You look beautiful. And unfortunately, the individual that I was, I have a relationship or encountered this with, was very upset. And then later that evening, I felt the wrath. I was berated, belittled. I remember leaving that place crying and embarrassed. It was such a problem. And then years later, I went to another party. But before I went, I received a phone call from that person's spouse. I kid you not. I am not joking. I got a phone call from that individual's spouse telling me, I kid you not, telling me that I should not dress nice. I shouldn't look pretty. I shouldn't wear beautiful clothing. And I shouldn't do my makeup or my hair. Excuse me. Because I would outshine the spouse. So, this spouse needed me to play down how I look like or how best to present myself in order for his spouse to feel pretty and be admired and not me. So I should dress down and make sure I'm not looking good. You know the funniest thing? I actually agreed. Yes. I didn't know what I was dealing with at that time, so I agreed. And believe me, all I put on my lips was lip gloss. No, I think it was chapstick I put on my lips. And I wore like a muumuu. And then I put a scarf on to cover all my hair. And that was it. I didn't get my nails done. Nothing. I wore a turtleneck under the muumuu. Yes. And that was it. And I was at the party. And when I went to the party, I tried. This is serious. I worked so hard to stay away from where all the guests were. So I stayed in the kitchen and helped out in the kitchen and would just bring the food out when it's needed and put them on the table, and then I would disappear. Because I was literally scared for that individual's spouse to see me. Because if she saw me, I don't know what would happen. And I didn't want the people looking at me and making a comment. A positive one at that. So I was strategically placing myself to be out of that person's range of vision. This is how toxic this can get. It is so toxic that you will be walking on eggshells that you don't even know where they are. And you are scared that any one of them that you do step on will become grenade to you, because it could cause an uproar, an explosion that you're not willing to deal with. This kind of toxic individuals are not to be played with. They can spread their control. Number 5. They believe they are superior and can only associate with equally special people. Yes, I ain't kidding. Only with special people. Because they're that special and that superior to everybody else. Now you go with the 10 symptoms and signs. There are several other signs that you can go and look up, read, and see. If none of this makes sense to you, that's fine. You can go and research some more. I've given you the site. You can also go on to Psychology Today to read more information on this. And of course, get more symptoms and read. The other thing that you should also zero in on is when you go on Google, type in scholarly articles on narcissism, and then you'll be able to get a variety of scholarly articles, actual research, and you can read it and learn. Arm yourself with the information so that when you become aware of these individuals, you know how to handle yourself, because you will not win. Okay, I cannot say enough. You will not win the argument with them because the perspective they're coming from, they believe this with every fiber of their being. They're not making this up. They believe it. They believe it without a shadow of a doubt. Now, I'm going to go over something with you. An individual is the Narcissistic Personality Disorder when you decide if you decide to deal with them by criticizing them or calling them up on the stuff that they are trying to sell you, or the BS they're trying to sell you. Be aware of this. These particular individuals have trouble dealing or handling any type of criticism. This is what's going to happen if you do decide to criticize them. 1, they get snappy, impatient, angry when you do not treat them as special. If you do not treat them like they're special, good luck. They'll be very angry with you. They'll be very impatient with you and snappy at you, be very short with you, and angry. 2, they react with rage in order to belittle people, in order to appear superior, because you call them up on their BS. Yes. Be careful before you criticize them. Don't say I didn't warn you. You will see rage like you've never seen before. Number 3, they have difficulty regulating their emotions. So imagine you criticize them and they have the rage. It becomes a blow up. They have no control of what they're doing at that moment. The rage takes over. Some of them, when I ask them, they will tell you they see red and black when they're in that state. Number 4, They will have major problems in handling stress, and they do not accept change very well. They cannot accept change. Change is something they do not want, because everything has to stay uniform, the same, and the way, because it comes with a form of control, a sense of control. So change is not within their control. Remember that. Change is not within their control. So that's why it'll be stressful for them. They will not adapt to change very well. They will not accept it. They will fight it. They will do anything and everything they can to return it to the state or the way it was before the change reared its head to change their reality. Remember this. Number 5, they tend to feel depressed and moody if they're not perfect, or if things does not go perfect the way they wanted it. It'll ruin their day, if not weeks. And they'll talk about it, they'll bring it up. It really debilitates them. Seven, in the midst of all this and wanting control and wanting all this, here's the surprising fact. They secretly feel insecure, ashamed, vulnerable. They have problem with vulnerability, and really humiliation. They cannot deal with humiliation because they're humiliated already, and they are masking that with all this control and all this stuff. But deep down, they are ashamed. Vulnerability and humiliation is what they're feeling secretly, and feeling highly, highly insecure. But, excuse me, do not call them up on it. Don't say things like, you're behaving like this because you're insecure. That's why you want everybody to admire you all the time, and telling people nobody should look better than you. It's because you're insecurity. Oh my goodness, my brothers and sisters, do not do it. Don't say it. Don't call them up on it. If you want peace, or at least the little peace that you think you've got, keep it. Don't bring the war by calling them up on it. They don't like to be exposed like that. It's a big no-no to them. Now, I'm going to talk about the causes. And the causes are very strange, because for years there hasn't been a definitive cause of a narcissistic personality disorder. There have been some speculations or some ideas based on research and studies, and of course a collection of individuals who have experienced them, and then if it's diagnosed early, great. But it usually shows up between ages, pre-adolescent or adolescent and teen age. We don't know why. But the origin is complex. It's very, very complex, because they can't specifically pinpoint it. However, they have some ideas that they may be linked to environment, genetics, and neurobiological reasons, or neurobiology. Okay? I will describe it to you. The environment is based on a level of a mismatched parenting or mismatched parent-child relationship where a parent was either, or could be both, either excessively admires the child or excessively criticizes the child. So it could be both, one of each, or a mixture of both. Okay? Majority of this. And this then creates a poorly attuned relationship with child and parent. The parent is just not attuned with the child to be able to know when to do this, when to do that. They're just highly critical or highly admirable about the child. They admire the child. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're just so perfect. Everything you do is beautiful. You're my perfection. You're the everything. It could go both ways. So that's what the environment is contributing to this personality disorder. However, it's not guaranteed. It's just maybe, because it's so complex for them to be able to pinpoint exactly where this disconnect happened. Two is genetics. They think there might be an inherited characteristics in the child. Either biologically they were genetically, it was passed down from family to family, or the child was just genetically born like that. They're not exactly sure, but they think it may be inherited characteristics in the gene. Okay? Number 3, that's the neurobiology. The neurobiology is the connection between the brain and behavior and thinking. Something went wrong. Something truly went wrong. And I'm not sure, but this is just my take. Don't quote me on it. Because with the neurobiology connection between the brain, the behavior, and thinking, that tells me something is going on in the frontal lobe. Because the frontal lobe is where we have reasoning. And with reasoning comes comprehension. We're thinking and clearly coming to a sense of understanding. But there's something wrong there. But that's just me. I don't know. I'm not a neurobiologist. I'm not a neuroscientist or a neuropsychologist. But that's just my take, based on the little information that I know about the frontal lobe. And this is what we have to deal with. And we've been seeing a lot of individuals struggling with this. And if you know a family member or friends or colleagues dealing with this and are presenting this information or presenting these symptoms or these stands, it is very important to have a discussion with them, but do it gently, do it carefully. Do not come with criticism. Do not come with accusations. It is better to do it in a calm way. I hope this helps out my clients that have contacted me and the emails I've been receiving from individuals who have come into contact with this behavior, and it's becoming glaring in our society now, and especially on social media. And I'm being called, you need to do something about this. You need to do something about it. And I thought, okay, glare at me. But be mindful on the fact that this is it. These individuals cannot even look in the mirror. And I follow a young man, I forgot his name, but he said he's a recovering narcissist. And his story was particularly interesting for me because he went into treatment. And I was like, wow, you actually did. Because here's the other thing. They do not show up for treatment. Heck, they won't even go. They will not even go for a diagnosis, because remember, it will contradict their self-esteem, because they're believing that they are perfect. Because they're believing that they are perfect and they are superior, why would they need to go and seek help? Think about it. So for that reason, they will not present themselves to go and be diagnosed. A true hardcore narcissist will never go to be diagnosed, because they will be like, no, but I'm perfect. There's nothing wrong with me. It's everybody else. They will point fingers at anybody and everybody else. They don't care who they're pointing the fingers at. They will do it because it serves their purpose. It serves their purpose that they are superior and everybody is beneath and everybody is to bow down because they're superior. And that is something that they need to work on. But they will not, because they believe they are superior. Because in order for an individual, like this individual I was listening to and following on TikTok and on my Instagram, I wish I remember his name, but he said he's a recovering narcissist. And I was curious as to how he became a recovering narcissist. And is in treatment and was in treatment for a year before he accepted the fact that he really was a narcissist, or is, and is still working on it. So now he's made it his mission. Here's the other good thing, and that shows that there's hope for these individuals. After treatment, and now he still goes for checkup when he thinks he's slipping into that deep narcissistic personality disorder is taking over. He goes for maintenance, which is great. But now his mission is to educate the world about what a narcissistic personality disorder individual does. So basically, he's giving all of us an inside information as to how we can decode what they say and the meaning they say and what we will see when this and that happen. And so that's why I follow him, because I'm learning so much from them. How much more would I be able to get if I'm just reading the textbook? I've got to deal with an individual with the condition to learn from them. So I learn it because guess what? In case I encounter somebody like that in my office, it was only once, just once, I had a young man come to me and say, hey, I think maybe I have this disorder. And I was like, well, the mere fact that you are here telling me that you think you do, you're probably not a full narcissist. You're not struggling with narcissistic personality disorder. You may have a trait, but I don't know yet. Let's see. We talked, and then you know what? After doing sessions with this individual, I think 6 weeks to 2 months, then it became clear it was because he was beginning to feel that he didn't measure up. So he was making things and being pretentious to show to friends and family that he was this amazing baller, in the sense that he was raking a lot of money in when he was barely making half of that. And he wanted to show up to his friends. So once we unraveled that, and I remember in session years ago, when we unraveled that and he recognized where that was coming from, he started paying attention to what he can do to reverse that or to stop it. And once we came up with a plan and a treatment plan for him to follow to track himself, then he was able to stop himself when he was beginning to slip. And that's the key. Once an individual learns what to do and how to recognize themselves, because remember, they cannot have that internal dialogue to see themselves. So once he did, it was beautiful. Sessions lasted for maybe 5 months, and he couldn't believe how well he did. And he kept bringing me his journal. And he said, in the beginning, this is what I was going, how hard I was struggling to try and look at self. And then in the middle, this is what happened. And now I could actually write and look and go back and read what I read. Then I'm like, ooh, I actually said that. I thought about this. And I stopped myself. I thought that was beautiful. And this young man became more than what I could ever imagine. And he graduated from treatment with tools he could follow. And it made him so much happier. And once he recognized that he was drawing crowds that facilitated that behavior for him, he started losing them. That was a beautiful thing. He started literally distancing himself from those individuals that facilitate that narcissistic personality trait that he was exhibiting. Okay? Once he did that, he became free. I remember he broke up with his girlfriend. I mean, just a whole barrage of things, and he became free of that hold. And he realized that he was even more relaxed, and he had more fun, and he enjoyed being with people that he wanted to be with. Not because he felt they were special and he needed to rise up to his specialness for him to help to hang out with. So that was what my experience was. I am grateful I experienced that young man, and now this young man that I follow on TikTok and on Instagram, and I think they're doing an amazing job, because now they're beginning to unravel and break it down and show what is going on. And it's not because these individuals cannot be helped. They do not want help, and they sometimes don't even recognize the fact that they need help. And actually, when you go to them and then you decide to tell them they need help, that could be a big problem for you. Because remember, they believe they're perfect. So if you tell them they need help, you're taking a dive, and a jab at their self-esteem that they know is not where it needed to be, but they're showing you that they do have a superior self-esteem. So when you come at them like that, it means you're literally peeling the mask off of them and exposing them, and that's a no-no to them. They do not. You become enemy number one if you do the exposure. All right. Now you also have to understand, it's like a feeding ground. If you do not feed them, then they will leave. That's how it works. All right. My name is Stroda Aglago. Thank you for joining me on Love, Forgive, Live podcast. I will be back again next week. I believe next week I have a guest. I will post it on Facebook and Instagram. And you'll be able to learn more about our guest and share more about what she has to say to us, and then talk to us about her experiences. Those of you who want to write to me or ask questions, please do write to me at LOVE, the number 4, give, GIVE, at gmail.com. You can email me, tell me just how people let me know about this topic to talk about. Let me know what you want to hear, what you want me to talk about, and we will be able to go over it. Normally I talk about inspirational stuff, things for us to move on and grow together spiritually and emotionally. But this was just glaring at me, so I decided to talk about it. But from this point on, you're going to be talking about great stuff, things that empower people, inspire people, motivate people, and of course, teach. I love you all. Have an amazing week and take care. I will see you next week.